Good morning, everyone. It's April 19th, and I'll call the McLeod County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consideration of agenda items. Do we have any additions or corrections?
No, Mr. Chair.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion's been made by Commissioner Luthens. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion on the agenda items? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any additions or corrections?
No, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Public Works. John, you're up.
Good morning.
Morning.
A few items for you, but before I do that, I'd like to introduce a new Assistant County Engineer, Andrew Engel. We stole the gentleman from Carver County, so we're kind of proud of that. But Andrew's been on board about a week now, so now's your chance to grill him. He's still on probation. If you got some questions for him at all, or
Any questions for Andrew?
Why'd you leave Carver County?
I live in Hutchinson, so commute. Much shorter commute.
Who cares? I do.
We're very happy to have you.
For sure.
Well, that's a question I can never ask, so I like where you live.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I did hear, I have communications with Carver County, and everything I heard was all positive, and they're telling me we're lucky to have you, so I'm glad. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you.
and I've heard the same thing, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
all right. Thanks. First item is to consider award of the bridge replacement in Takoma Township. That's the one on 200th Street over the South Fork of the Crow. State aid project 43599044. Low bid was Structural Specialties out of Hutchinson. The bid of $705,315.55. And we had another bid from Dunnick of a little over $1,061,219.25. That project's funded with state town bridge money. And then, like all the town bridge projects, they're responsible for $20,000 of it, $10,000 for engineering, and $10,000 for the first $10,000 of construction costs. Otherwise, the bulk of it's covered by the state.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
thanks for working with the township on this. I've got a lot of compliments regarding the cooperation, and I would move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there any more questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
John, why the amazing difference in the two bids that we received?
Yeah, so the engineer's estimate was about $50,000 more than the low bid. I think Structural was really hungry. They didn't have a lot of work this year. I talked to Rick Barrick a few months back, and they were pretty hungry, looking for work. So that's my hunch.
It surely is going to save us a bunch of money
Yeah, yeah.
with the competitiveness of the bids.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the bridge replacement say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Second item is to consider purchase of two 2023 GMC Sierra 2500 crew cabs. State bid is from North Country GM out of Hibbing. I'd like to do a not-to-exceed cost of $76,000. The rationale for that is the state price for the pickups is $34,789.91, but there's still some final tweaks in the last few numbers. So that not-to-exceed amount should cover if there's any minor changes while they still put together their final numbers. Last number of years we've had some Fords, and Fords aren't available right now for this. So Eric wants to look at the GMCs, and of course we've had GMCs and Chevys over the years too. So, and these are two trucks that are in our budget for replacement. Like the whole fleet, we're looking at we're to move stuff around in the parks. We want to eventually dump a lot of vehicles. There's a lot of old iron out there that's tired, I think. And if we keep them up, keep them newer, we have less maintenance and so forth. And plus with what we're getting for state bid, I think if we look at start turning them around sooner, we can realize a little benefit as well too. So we're looking at that. Not only with the pickups, but the tandems and everything. We want to get to that kind of a program.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'll move approval. Question, John? Are
Second.
these diesels or gas?
Yes.
Motion was made and seconded, so we go on to discussion.
And I stated the question, are these diesels or
Yep.
gases?
Gasoline we buy. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion?
You haven't decided which vehicles to remove as you slide them down through?
Well, right now it's looking like we're going to get rid of that 97 Jeep and the 2004 Silverado. And we probably have more than that we're going to look at as Eric keeps going through some stuff.
So decreasing it.
Yeah, decreasing the fleet, correct. Absolutely.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I counted our vehicles today in the back row, there's over 16 of them. So why couldn't we take 2 of them and use them for the park? Take the back seat out?
Two of the
2 of the vehicles out there, the vans,
The,
instead of spending the 70,000.
Mr. Chair, are you, Commissioner Luthens, are you speaking about the vans that are in the back parking lot here at the government center?
Yes, I am.
Those are used specifically for 2 departments. One is for IT, for moving technical equipment. The other is for our child protection team, and we cannot remove the seats from that van. We use it every day, and it is used often on an emergency basis.
But do we need that many?
We use all of the vehicles, and you and I spoke the other day. We haven't been able to get any replacement vehicles or updates, so we haven't purchased any since 2020. We can't order any right now. There's none available to us, and we have had to take some out of the rotation since that time, so we have saved funds on purchasing vehicles. And Spencer Bauer, our new facilities supervisor, has been working on the fleet management system, like we talked about, and he's tracked all of the mileage and maintenance on it to make sure of what we need before we make any changes.
Mr. Chair, I think it's just wrong time to be buying vehicles with the whole economy, the way things are going. Inventory. I think it's time we hold back a little bit.
For me, it brings up a question of, like Commissioner Wright asked, is if we had a list of how the rotation is going to work, because you said we're actually lowering the number in the fleet.
We're keeping, even when the 2 we want to get rid of, but that's just the ones for sure that these 2 would replace. There's other ones that are in the system that we want to get rid of as well. We don't have that list yet, or we have the list. We don't have, we haven't gone through it in depth yet to see what we want to swap out with parks, which ones we can dump. I think there's a few more besides these that we can get rid of.
Like an example would probably be the water truck at the fairgrounds, if that's even still around. But things like
Stuff
that.
like that.
Things like that. That
Old
now that-
tractors, there's a
now
lot of
that
old
highway-
tractors that we have.
Now that highway and parks are together, those vehicles don't need to be, probably never should have been, but for whatever reason got separated. But now
Yeah.
we can bring those all together and make them multi-purpose.
Right, it's all one big pool now, so we're looking at the whole works, and we still got to go through some of those.
And that's my question, so your plan is to lower the size, besides
Yeah,
replace.
in addition to these 2 that are coming, and the 2 that'll be replaced by these, we want to go farther, and there's other ones we think we can dump and sell at the auction and so forth.
Without replacing them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just one more note I forgot to make. John has been helping Spencer. He brought him over there. They've been working together to try and have the fleet management throughout the county be more seamless, because before it's always been separated and it doesn't need to be. So thank you to John for doing that, but I just wanted you to know too that he has been working with Spencer Bauer on that.
It's a good thing.
And is there a lead time to these? Are these available? Are there? I mean, like our trucks that time. They
Yeah,
ended
no,
up
these
being
are
pushed
out. These are out till late fall or winter, which was another reason why Eric wanted to get in and get these on
late
on
this
order.
fall or winter.
Yeah,
Well, and if it's anything like the squad cars, it's not a guarantee at this point. Because
Probably not.
that order got canceled.
Any more questions, Daryl? Do you have some more?
Fine, thank you.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Division or roll call?
No.
Commissioner Luthens?
No.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright, yes. I'm yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Smalls?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
All right, item C is to consider out-of-state travel for myself to attend the National Local Technology Assistant Program, otherwise known as LTAP. Their annual conference is July 18 through 21 in Seattle. These expenses for this are paid by the Minnesota Local Road Research Board. I'm currently a member of that Research Implementation Committee of that. We've been to the LTAP before. LTAP is a program, if you recall, over the years off and on, we've received OPRA funding. That's the Operational Research Grant. We've used some for County Road 54. We've used it for other implementation projects to try stuff where that was the grant program for that. So,
John, how does this, how are we paid? Are we paid dues to this? I mean, I actually had Colleen pull it. There's nothing ever been paid.
no, so Local Road Research Board is the statewide a research group. Part of the Highway User Tax Fund that comes off the top goes toward research, goes toward this Local Road Research Board, other administrative type stuff like that. That's how it's. We don't pay dues or anything for that. It's a statewide.
So it's funded. I mean, how do you get, my theory is there's never nothing's free. I mean, somebody must put money into that. And what's the benefit of going? Is it to find out what grants fit and different things?
So I'm mainly more of a technology transfer stuff. Seeing at the national level what's going on, and we bring that back to the research implementation group, and then that's disseminated out through the state, different things.
Any other questions from the
Mr.
board?
Chair?
Go ahead.
How big is this group?
The LTAP or the
Yeah.
local technology assistant program. So there's one in every state, one technology center. So the U of M runs the LTAP center for Minnesota. There's other states have their own LTAP center, but a lot of the LTAPs help out the smaller groups like the township type folks. A lot of folks that don't have big, public works facilities, large ones like that.
So you're the lone person for the state?
No, I'm not the lone. So there'd be other city and county engineers going to this as well that serve on that research implementation committee. There's probably going to be 4 or 5 of us.
Okay. Thank you.
The only other thing I have yet is, I'd like to hear about it when we come back because I
Sure.
don't know. I get questions and there's probably resources there that maybe we could follow through on to get.
Yep.
That's the name of the game for resources today. So, is there any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
And I wasn't singling you out on a report. We've made that way back
Absolutely.
a lot, and we're a little slack on it even for our own self, but we'd just like to hear
Right.
what's going on. Thanks.
Yep.
Auditor Treasurer Connie. And Janet, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I also have Janet Betzinger here because we'll be discussing elections, and she works closely with those with me. So I have a few items today. Item A is to consider adopting Resolution 22 CB19 to authorize me to make application to the Office of Secretary of State for the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, I will refer to it as. In the 2021 first special legislative session, the Minnesota State Legislature authorized the distribution of $3 million from federal HAVA appropriations as grants to political subdivisions. The county was notified this year on February 18th the total grant award of $28,177.78 had been waiting for, and we have been waiting for the grant contracts to be distributed, which we were notified on April 6th. These funds must be used to improve accessibility implement security improvements for election systems, and/or funding other activities to improve the security of elections. Considering the county may utilize the 2022 HAVA grant funds as the 50% local match to the recently applied to Vega 3 grant program, these funds would be allocated to assist in the match for our assisted voting devices, which we have on order, the Omni ballots. So it will be used to assist in the match that will help the countywide elections for the townships and cities.
So it'll help match their matches as well, their funds as well? Okay.
Right, rather than asking them for these dollars.
And the verbiage in there kind of is always funny to me, but other activities, I caught that one right away, and I don't, and I'm not picking on you, but they put that verbiage in there. Is there, what other activities come up? Does that mean the election judges, or can you use it in that as well, or what does that actually mean?
I guess I don't know, because we're using it for equipment.
And you have it earmarked, or, I mean, it's working. Okay, that's good.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
this helps alleviate some of the burdens on the township finances also.
This assists them in their burden, correct?
That's great. All right, I move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second? I'll second it. Seconded by Commissioner Kruger. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item B is to consider adopting Resolution 22CB-20, establishing the absentee ballot board, the mail ballot absentee ballot board, and Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act, or UOCAVA, I will refer to it from now on, absentee ballot board. In 2010, the state legislature enacted Minnesota Statute 203B.121, which provides for the review of absentee ballots in Minnesota elections, governs the appointment process, who may serve on the ballot board, and the duties of each ballot board member. Minnesota Statutes 204B.19 through 204.22 governs the sufficient number of election judges, appointments, qualifications, and party balance requirements. Ballot board duties do begin approximately 46 days before each election and at the end on election day. McLeod County Ballot Board processes ballots each day to provide efficient results to those voters. As the county prepares for the 2022 state primary and state general elections, I have the recommendations following regarding the appointment of absentee ballot board members. To retain efficient practices in processing the absentee ballots and to provide transparency with the public's perception, I recommend the approval of a combination of deputy auditors trained as election judges, which we've used in the past, and election judges hired from the list provided from the Office of the Secretary of State. All of the election judges working on ballot board will receive additional training to serve on the ballot board. Deputies are exempt from the party balance requirements. Hired election judges must be of different major political parties, and currently Minnesota has 4 major political parties: Republican, DFL, Legal Marijuana Now Party, and Grassroots Legalized Cannabis Party. This will affect the 2022 election budget. Questions or comments?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, just clarify, we talked earlier, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You will have special duties kind of this year because you're on the ballot. I mean, there's just so that's clear. I mean, you'll have some. I learned it from when I was an election judge. When you're on the ballot, you have things you can and can't do. Just so that's clear.
Well, that's clear. It is my job, however, so I need to assist however possible, but I will try to remain as far away from the ballots as I can.
Do we have to? And things have changed obviously in a few years, and I never hear so much representation from other than the main 2 political parties. I mean, who decides if there has to be some from the other parties? I'm not clear on that. Is that something they were asked for, or that we make that decision? Because I've never been questioned about any other than the main 2 political parties.
I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't know if Mike knows. They have to receive, I think it is at least a minimum of there's a certain amount of votes they have to get in the prior election to become a major political party. They kept that in 2018 to go on to 2020, and they kept it going forward. Will it happen this year? We don't know.
Yeah, and talking with you, I like your plan, so don't get me wrong, I like the plan. But the only thing that I'm questioning is I've seen some of the numbers where they were short on one party or another. And that's the only thing I would like, at least to be kept informed of why there isn't a balance, at least between the two main political parties. Because I mean, I hear, and I actually do have constituents that apply to be election judges, and they wonder why they didn't get there, and then find out later that there was a shortage in this or that. And I mean, I just like to stay up on that if that's possible. And because I like your plan, we talked about it a couple in the workshop, and I talked with you yesterday. So I like your plan.
Right, so those lists come out, and the cities and township hire from the lists.
Mm-hmm.
And now we will be also.
Okay, well,
If
and
approved.
again, I would just a sidebar, if there's some issues when that list comes out, that there isn't the availability of both major parties, I mean, I'd kind of like to know that, at least to call my legislator and figure out what's going on, but, because that's always a question. Did you have this balance, or for the people that watch it? But I digress, so you need a motion on your plan here? Or?
To approve the resolution, correct.
Right.
Move to approve the resolution.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve a resolution 22 CB 20.
Yep.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any more discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. The last item is to consider approval of the third revised drainage policy for the joint county drainage systems in Meeker, McLeod, Renville, Sibley, and Wright counties. The operation, maintenance, and repairs dated March 25th, 2022. McLeod County and Meeker, Renville, Sibley, and Wright counties have a drainage policy for joint county drainage systems operation, maintenance, and repair. The policy was initially established in 2003 and has had several revisions, the most recent in 2012. The policy is intended to supplement Minnesota Statutes 103E in the operation, maintenance, and repair of public joint drainage systems when the drainage authority consists of members from the Board of Commissioners of 2 or more counties. A revision to the policy has been completed by Cale Van Bruggen of Rinke Noonan Law Firm to bring the policy in compliance with current state statute and practice, and this has also been reviewed by our county attorney. During the joint county drainage annual meeting on Friday, March 25th, the policy was unanimously approved by the 5-member joint drainage county authorities. So to complete the approval process of the revised policy, individual county boards are now requested to approve the revised drainage policy for joint county drainage systems within these 5 counties. If you like, I can run through a little summary of what the policy changes are.
Connie, what dollar amount did they set for determining when there would be a ditch authority meeting? Was it 40 or 100,000?
For the maintenance, they did actually increase that to $60,000.
60, okay.
So, Section 1, the definition of noxious weeds was added. I'll just state these, and if you have any further questions, then please
Could
ask.
you just either say amended or added? Some of them we took out as well. Okay.
Sure. So the definition for noxious weeds was added. Exhibit A was revised to add a paragraph to give each member of the County Drainage Authority the right to amend the districts used for membership. So that's changing the makeup of how many commissioners come from each member county. Section 3 was changed to the system inspections. Language was added at the end of the section that reminds the drainage inspectors of the obligation of 103E.705 to create and file drainage inspection reports. And if a report shows maintenance is needed equal or less than the $60,000, that no repairs are needed, those reports are filed with the Joint County Drainage Authority for consideration at its next meeting. Section 4, vegetation control, tree removal was modified to give property owners permission via the policy to remove trees from a joint county drainage system at their own expense, but only after notifying the drainage inspector of the county where the trees are located. Exhibit B was modified to match the drop inlet specification changes revised in the policy based upon the Drainage Authority staff discussion. Section 6, erosion control members. The Renville County policy covered the cost of the first 20 feet of outlet pipe into open ditch systems, and that was added to the Section 6. Section 7, permanent strips of perennial vegetation or the grass buffer. The policy was revised to allow seeding of alfalfa on the condition that the vegetation is seeded so as to be established before the winter season, and notice is given to the local SWCD before reseeding. Just a couple more. Section 8, private approaches and crossings. There was alternative language offered at the Drainage Authority staff meeting inserted into the policy. It includes exhibits C and D also. And then section 9, additional drainage by using ditches and new tile has been reduced to simply point to the drainage code references. And then all throughout the policy, the $40,000 is changed to reflect the $60,000.
The only other question, when was this policy, it was established in 2003?
Correct.
Was there an old policy in place at that time that we replaced this with, or did we just start the joint powers policy?
It was, the policy, I believe, was started in 2003 and then has been revised,
Right.
and this is the third revision.
Right. Okay. Any questions? I have none. I attended the meeting, and I thought I have a lot of faith in Kale. Van Bergen, he did a nice job, went through it with us point by point, so I have no questions.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
who determines what legal person is on that board?
The Joint Drainage Authority, that is determined by the percent of land that is from each county. So let's say that Renville has 60% of the land, Sibley has 20, and McLeod has 20. They would have three commissioners. Sibley and McLeod would each have one. And then typically it involves the commissioner from that part of the county that the district is in. So the statute sets out who has what number of commissioners.
Okay.
And then each board makes their own appointments.
That's per system.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're talking about this, we basically, what we're trying to do here, and stop me, Connie, if I go wrong here, but we're just trying to establish a policy that we are all doing our rules the same way. And I don't know how that really, there's always going to be some exception that has to come back to a watershed, but we just wanted to, this meeting, it was basically SWCDs, ditch people, and one or two commissioners from each county.
For instance, if you had a $5,000 repair, by the time that you notified everybody and did the public notice and all that kind of stuff, you very well may have $1,200-$1,500 into it, and it doesn't make sense to spend $1,200-$1,500 for a $5,000 repair. Now you can spend up under this policy, the ditch authority can spend up to $60,000 without having a meeting of the full drainage authority.
And so the reason, if I may, for the
Go ahead.
policy also then is to set a standard for all of us 5 counties to be able to work together, and we all have these rules, established. So the amount was also increased to $60,000 because it hasn't been changed since 2012, and we all know what's happened to the cost of materials and especially concrete.
And it gives us a base to, I voted for that part of the increase. I mean, because of what Connie said, the increases, but now all the counties know that if you're spending more than 60,000 or more, we have to come back and have a drainage authority meeting. You can do the repair under that. It just, the right words is it just gives us some little rules to work by, and we know what we have to do. So I'm comfortable. We have this meeting. Well, we skipped the last 2 years because of COVID, but otherwise we try to do it every year and go through with each county what projects are coming up or what to expect. And obviously, at least for me, I rely a lot on our ditch guys and our SWCD. They're try to make them. They give me the answers or stuff I need to know. But
So I still don't understand. The attorneys, legal advice. So if there's two commissioners on one, or whatever it is, so the county with the most commissioners supply their legal for everybody?
Correct? And the auditor acts, the host county is the county that has the majority of the ditch, not
Okay.
the majority, the greatest portion of the ditch within their system. So if there was one, let's say that Renville had 40% and McLeod and Sibley each had 30, Renville would act as the host. They would provide the legal, they would provide the auditor work.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then in this instance, the policy was revised by Rinky Noonan as just a fair, impartial attorney.
right, and a knowledgeable one as far as water. So it was. I'm confident there was no. I mean, the biggest change you just hit on was the 60 to 40 or 40 to 60, and it just gave us a little more room because of the costs. So, is there any more questions? Hearing none, I'll move to approve. Is this a resolution? I'm sorry here. No,
Policy.
just the policy.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Kruger and seconded by Commissioner Wright to approve the policy changes for the joint ditch systems of Meeker, McLeod, Renville, Sibley, and Wright. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connie.
County Administration, review of calendars. Should I just start out with the calendars, Sheila?
Yeah, and I'll just add at the end, if that's okay?
That's fine. Commissioner
Right.
Luthens?
Morning.
Morning.
Pretty short one. We'll go back to the 5th, I believe. Workshop that day. Move on to the 7th, Prime West Zone meeting, Zoom meeting. Friday was the SMAMHC. That was in Marshall. The safety meeting on the 12th, I did not attend. I went to a funeral. The open house in Glencoe, I missed that also. Doctor's appointment. All right, that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, for myself, a little bit of a shorter schedule as well, but I got a little bit of a story on the end. Economic development meeting, we had that last week, and we're finally rolling forward. We have our development coordinator in place. The committee met. I think we've set some really good benchmarks out there, and we're ready to rock and roll. So we're finally getting there. Yesterday, Commissioner Kruger and I met with staff on an informal meeting with JD 18. We did receive a pretty good share of FEMA dollars to do some repairs within that system, and so we just wanted to go over kind of what our work plan is. We did have some of the landowners present and offered some maybe opportunities to look at some different things and how to do some repairs, and so we're going to give that a whirl and see how it works. that wraps up the meetings. Then I want to do a little bit of promoting. The cameras can catch this. So for the last 4 years, the Minnesota organization, or the Minnesota Organization of 4-H and FFA, have been actively working on a license plate to join the several plate opportunities that are out there to gather donations for funding. And so it was finally approved, and they're just within the last month available. I've been waiting for them, and I had the opportunity to get new plates finally, and so these are mine. So before I put them on my pickup, I brought them in here today with a little bit of that background, a little bit of that background story. So again, this has been 4 years in the works, and this is for the 4-H organization and FFA opportunities within the state of Minnesota. And I think both of these organizations have a background story for all 5 of us that are sitting up here today. You'll notice that the words 4-H and FFA are not necessarily printed on this plate, but they're here in terms of symbolism instead. And so in the upper corner, you'll see hands. The 4-H pledge refers to the hands for larger service. The 4-H motto refers to learning by doing. Of course, again, looking at the hands. Inside the hands on the plate are seedlings. And the symbolism of the seedlings and the hands would be the emerging new life in agriculture. In the background of the plate is the image of the rising sun. The rising sun in FFA symbolizes, let's see here, to bring a new day glowing with opportunities in agriculture. So that's where that symbolism comes in. The 4-H organization in the state of Minnesota has approximately 66,000 members. The FFA organization nationwide is about 700,000 members strong. On the bottom of the plate, you'll see the words supporting agriculture for all. So whether you want to look at this in terms of what these two organizations offer agriculture, or if you want to look at the economic impact of what ag means to the state of Minnesota, here's some pretty interesting statistics to kind of add to that. In McLeod County, every year, farmers generate just a little bit under $250 million worth of agricultural commodities on an annual basis. What does this mean to the state of Minnesota? According to the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, here's the statistics that they have. Minnesota ranks number 5 in total ag production, just short of $20 billion per year of products generated here on Minnesota farmland from crops to livestock. We're number 1 in sugar beets, number 1 for green peas, number 2 in dry soybeans, number 2 in sweet corn, number 3 in soybeans, number 3 in spring wheat and sunflowers and oats, number 4 in corn, number 4 in canola, number 7 in barley, number 7 in rye, number 8 in all other wheats, number 9 in potatoes, number 10 in alfalfa production. On the livestock side, we're the 7th largest in the nation. We're number 1 in turkeys, we're number 2 in hogs, number 5 in meat animals, number 7 in dairy cows, number 7 in honey production, number 8 in all milk production, number 9 in cattle and calves. So just a little bit under $20 billion again per year. And if you want to give credit to all of the tens of thousands of career opportunities and billions of dollars of careers that are generated from that point out, that's pretty impressive numbers. So these are the plates. They're fresh. They're new. I guess we do not have them on hand here at our license center because they're special orders. If you want them, they'll come to you in the mail. That's how mine did. There might be a bit of an argument how many of the donation plates does the state of Minnesota have, but I know that this one is my favorite, and I'll be probably putting this one on my truck today. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. I think those are important numbers. I'm glad you gave them because I tout quite often that, at least for McLeod County, that we're an ag county, and that I usually make a lot of my decisions according to ag and agribusiness. It is what it is. I think it's important. So thanks for that information. My calendar, we had the workshop after the last meeting, and then I also met with a small committee on the GETS facility, or what our options are there as far as building a maintenance garage and some things like that. And I Also on the 7th, I had a Lower Minnesota One Watershed, One Plan by Zoom. And we're still structuring engineers, costs, which program we're going to do first. And again, Lower Minnesota for McLeod County covers the northern or the southern end, and then going into Sibley County, Baker's Lake is one of those. On Friday the 8th, I had ATP 8, which is the state of Minnesota's schedule of construction, basically, at least in our district. And the one I apologize, I didn't have all my notes here, but the one I do remember is that State Highway 15 in Winthrop is going to be closed this fall. So I would go on the DOT site. I don't think John's got the dates here. I had the dates written down. That road will be closed, and the reason I bring that up is it's a culvert east of Winthrop, and ethanol plant is just another mile down the road. So people coming in with corn are going to have to take that into consideration. Commissioner Wright talked about our economic development, so I won't go over that again. And he also went over JD 18 yesterday, so that brings us up to today. So go ahead, Commissioner Nagel.
Relatively short after the last meeting, the workshop, and I had a NACO public safety phone call scheduled in regards to the workshop, some follow-up phone calls regarding the topics there, but I think I was able to answer those questions, at least from my perspective. With that, I encourage people to continue to call and ask those questions, especially about the workshops, because sometimes that doesn't always get understood how much information is vetted through those, and I think that's a good process that we have. Other than that, it's been very busy, but not necessarily all county stuff. So,
could you hold on just a second, Commissioner Smallson? Thank you, Commissioner Nagel. I just got to correct. I know I said State Highway 15. It's State Highway 19. I apologize.
You closed the wrong road again.
Well, before we got too far down the road, I wanted to make sure it's.
Which road are you going down, 15 or 19?
It's 19 east of Winthrop. That's going to be a culvert replacement, and I just had to make that correction before we got too far down. Sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Smalls.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chair. You did see Highway 15 north. They forgot to get a permit from the railroad, so they could not shut it down and continue on. So there's mistakes being made.
Well, I make my share, so I'm not going to point too many fingers. My mother used to say there's 3 pointing back at you. So. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Hopefully I can get through this and still have a voice. And I apologize for the way I sound today. I'm kind of working through some cold symptoms here this morning, and if I disrupted our meeting, I apologize for that. So after our last meeting, of course, we had our workshop, and then after the workshop, I kind of was moved to go take a visit at the McLeod County Emergency Food Shelf. They were hosting an open house on the 5th of April, and the public was invited. And I just thought it would be a good promotion for me to be there. And although I got there earlier than the open house hours, Len Albers was so gracious in giving me a VIP tour of their new facility. She's totally dedicated and excited as a director of the McLeod County Food Shelf. She told me the benefits they're now enjoying with the extra space they have, and showed me the displays that they have, the coolers, and how they have toiletries. They have things for kids. They have infant sections. The space allows them a lot of flexibility. In the back of the room, they have a staging area now where they can bring the goods in and kind of stage them before they're put out on the display shelves. And along with that, they built a large walk-in cooler, which greatly helps them, carry out the tasks that they're trying to do. So truly exciting. Another exciting part of it was sometimes we ask ourselves, how do we connect all our social services, the committees we serve on? UCAP occupies a space in the building now as well, where they office out of. Their staff there, or at least the day I was in there were 2 individuals from UCAP sharing an office space. And they're really thrilled about them being there because the accessibility is so good for them. And the people they reach out to, in general, are the people that come looking for needs. So it seems like a great cooperation occurring in our county. Definitely benefits our county and the people that are looking for help. And then I'll just add one final thing. Being I serve on the UCAP Joint Powers Board, I also serve on the Sharing Hands Nurse Family Partnership. And lately I was notified that Sharing Hands had a donation of Similac that was brought over to the McLeod County Emergency Food Shelf. If you've kind of been following the news a little bit, the supply chain has been disrupted, and it would be a pretty cool thing to walk into a food shelf and find Similac on the shelves. So there again, we're showing a cooperation, that now we can see how some of these social services can overlap and serve the citizens of our county. And then that Thursday, I did go to our Winston Township Board of Appeals meeting. I will say that the assessor's office did a fine job at presenting their information. Sean was the main presenter. Scott was there as well for support from the assessor's office. Everyone who had questions, they took the time to address all questions, and they put on a good workshop for the citizens who attended. And then on the 8th of April, I did a Zoom meeting for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. And that gets us into last week. I did attend the open house for County Road 1. I was fortunate enough to meet Andrew, our new assistant county engineer. Also met the contractor who's going to do the County Road 1 white topping this year. And MnDOT was there. They had displays set up highlighting their J-turns that are planned for this year. So that's my report, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Sheila?
Thank you. I have a couple of items. On Monday, April 25th, we're having our Student Government Day. It's back in action, which is really good to see, and that will be at the Courthouse and Law Enforcement Center, and several of our elected officials are helping out that day, and of course any board members are welcome to attend. We have students coming from Glencoe, Silver Lake, and from Hutchinson schools. So Stefan and Liz have been busy organizing that, and we're thankful that we get to have it again. Also, just a note on the License Center, for the rest of the week, there's elections training for Connie and 2 of her staff. And they have to be in training from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's pretty intense, long training. And we have some illness going around, of course, like everyone else. So I would just recommend to the public that if you are coming in for services at the License Center this week, you probably do want to make an appointment. And if there is any delays or changes, we'll post on our social media and on our website. Or you can always call us, of course, too, at our local number. And then one more item, just to note that we've talked before about we have our construction project being finished up for this facility that we're in. And we've talked about that there are some defective materials in this dais that the county board is sitting at. We're almost complete with reviewing and planning for the repair of that. So we will announce when we can if board meetings will be held at a different location while some of those repairs are being made and a little bit of a shift. So thank you, and we'll need some patience during that time. But I can go ahead with agenda if there's no questions.
There's no questions for Sheila. She can go ahead.
Thank you. Item A, consider adopting Resolution 22-CB-21, authorizing sponsorship of snowmobile trails operated by Crow River Snow Pros.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright, seconded by Commissioner Nagel to approve Resolution 22 CB 21. Is there any more discussion or any discussion?
Is there a cost to us for that?
No.
Nothing?
Just,
No, we asked that during our agenda review. Mr. Chair and
right.
Colleen Robeck, our finance director, went over that with myself and Chair Kruger. Item B, sorry, I apologize.
There is a little bit of cost to that in that you have a fiscal host so it takes some of our auditors' time, but not a lot.
Yeah, not actually cash, it's time. And
Resource,
it's not much
yeah.
time. I checked into it, and it's not much time. Colleen's got it down pat, so it's just a formality more than anything, I think. But
Thank you.
any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, consider adopting Resolution 22-CB-22, additional staff committee appointments. These are to place Economic Development Coordinator Liz Danielson into the roles that were being held for our economic development position.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel. Is there a second? I'll second it. Commissioner Kruger, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mark, do you want to go ahead with the next item? You want? Okay. Good. Item C, consider request from City of Glencoe to remove the county-operated 8-yard recycling receptacles located in the City of Glencoe south of the McLeod County Courthouse. We've had this on and off of our agenda since October 19th, and it was moved then to January 18th. We do not have the formal response from, you do? I apologize. I'm gonna defer to Mark. I was at training last week and I haven't gotten to talk to him, so this is why we were not knowing how to put this on the agenda for sure.
I appreciate that. So
Thank you.
we did receive that lease agreement back from MnDOT late last week. I have given our attorney a copy of that, so Mike will be reviewing that. My recommendation would be let's look for a motion to send this to our MRF committee. Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Kruger sit on that. After we receive comment back from Mike Young, we can then proceed with a recommendation to the board as to what we want to do moving forward. I have read through the lease agreement. I'd like to read through it again. It does look favorable. So with that being said, I hope to have something in place no later than the end of May for us to start construction on an area there, but pending our county attorney's review.
Okay, what Mike, help me if I'm wrong here. What I'd like to do then is to put this on the table. Do we need to do that and until the time?
Well, do you want it to go to the MRF committee?
Yes.
Well, then you ought to have a motion to send it there.
And that'll cover the delay? Okay. Is there a motion to, as Mark stated, is there a motion to send this to the MRF committee after the attorney looks through the contracts and makes sure they're good?
So,
Second, Mr. Chair. Does it come back to the full board for
Yes.
approval?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Small, seconded by Commissioner Nagel to send it to the MRF committee after it approved by the attorney, the county attorney. Is there any more discussion?
What the process will be is that the MRF committee will review it, and I'll meet with them, and then we'll come back to the county board for final approval, if that's the route that we go.
Any more discussion? I think it's laid out. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Item D, Economic Development Coordinator summary of out-of-state travel reports from Liz Danielson from her travels to San Diego.
Good morning, Liz.
Good morning. So I'm here to give a summary of the out-of-state travel that the board approved in February for me to attend the Site Selectors Guild annual conference in San Diego. It was on March 2nd through 4th, and I would say it was a well-attended conference. There was over 400 attendees. It was a combination of site selectors and economic development professionals, all from varying levels of state, county, regional, and municipal entities. And it was not only just throughout the U.S., but there was quite a few international attendees as well. The ratio was 8 economic development professionals to every 1 site selector. The conference format was a mixture of networking, Q&A opportunities, presentations, and training sessions, and I would say the majority of the conference was very interactive, which was nice. The keynote speaker was Dee Dee Myers, who is the senior advisor to Governor Gavin Newsom of California, and she's also the director of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. Some of the training topic sessions were your labor market is tight, what should you do about it? Emerging factors in site location decisions, and then I really enjoyed the debate style sessions that they had. They had several topics. Some of them included whether or not remote work is here to stay, and also whether or not Amazon H2Q, which is the location of their second headquarters, fundamentally changed site selection. I had the opportunity to meet with a lot of other economic development professionals who had varying levels of experience. Some of them, had 30 plus years of experience, and some of them were new, just starting out like I am, which was interesting to me to listen to some of those others that did have a lot of experience and the types of questions that they were asking and just things that they were interested in. I found that very insightful. I also got to meet many site selectors, one of which grew up actually in Minnesota. We exchanged contact information, and he offered to visit McLeod County and do a regional partners presentation for us. So I'm very grateful to have gone, so thank you. And also I want to note I do have the brochure. If anyone's interested in taking a look at it, let me know and I can give that to you. Thank you.
I have one question, Liz. Did you kind of commented there, you met somebody from Minnesota, was there more, a lot of these things are sometimes big city economic development. Did you find like-minded type people there that?
Yeah, it was a big mixture. I would say I was surprised. It was pretty equal of some smaller communities, some smaller organizations that were one or two people, and then there was also a fair amount of larger organizations that had, maybe 5 people from their organization attending. Mixture of rural and metro.
Well.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I'm excited for you as well. I can see you're excited, so that makes me feel good. Is there any questions from the board?
Good job, Liz.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Item E, consider amending page 113, employee recognition and wellness of the McLeod County personnel policy. It's being considered as a recommendation by the Office of the Minnesota State Auditor.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item F, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on May 3rd, 2022, here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
All right, brings us to open forum. Anyone have a question or a comment? Seeing none. Press relations? See none. Brings us to recessing. We will recess the county board till 9 a.m. Monday, May 3rd, 2022, here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. Motion to recess.
So moved.
By Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're recessed.